The year is 1064, in the burning deserts near Jerusalem. A story that defies all logic is about to unfold. 800 Viking warriors against an army 40 times their size. What happened that day would change the meaning of military power in the Holy Land and prove that faith itself can become the deadliest weapon of all. Our story begins not under desert sun, but on the misty shores of Norway, where ruled King Magnus III, Magnus Barefoot. Christianity had reached Scandinavia, but it hadn't killed the Viking spirit. It fused with it, creating something far more dangerous. Holy warriors. When the Pope called for defense of Christian lands, Magnus didn't see politics, he saw divine purpose. He gathered 800 of the North's fiercest veterans, men who had survived endless wars and believed God himself guided their axes. Their training was brutal, Byzantine-style formations, shield walls, and spiritual discipline. Every weapon was blessed, every battle drill ended in prayer. They weren't just soldiers anymore, they were fanatics. In spring 1064, Magnus' fleet sailed south. Along the way, they fought in Spain, learned to counter cavalry and archers, and forged alliances in Constantinople. They arrived at Jerusalem, armed with superior steel, Byzantine tactics, and holy fire. Waiting for them was Emir Abu Nazar, commander of 40,000 Muslim troops. To him, these northerners were nothing but insects. He would erase them in a single day. The armies met near the ancient fortress of Herodium. On one side, a sea of banners, hooves, and war cries. On the other, 800 silent Vikings, shields gleaming in the sun. Abu Nazar's plan was simple: surround rain arrows, then crush them under sheer numbers. It had worked 100 times before. But Magnus was ready. His men had studied these tactics and crafted their answer, the Wheel of Death. At dawn, the desert shook with the charge of thousands of horsemen. Instead of holding formation, the Vikings split into 8 circles of 100 men, leaving narrow gaps between them. The cavalry poured through, expecting an easy kill, and rode straight into a trap. The Vikings closed ranks behind them, creating killing zones. Horses crashed. Riders fell. The sand turned red. The Saracen army had never seen anything like it, warriors who fought like machines, moving with impossible coordination, seemingly immune to pain. Each death only drove them harder. Abu Nazar ordered archers forward. Arrows darkened the sky, but the Vikings huddled behind makeshift fortifications, then counterattacked with axes, hooked spears, and something far worse: Greek fire, stolen from the Byzantines. The desert erupted in flames. As panic spread, Magnus unleashed his next strike. The Vikings burst from their burning circles, charging into the chaos. Even on fire themselves, they screamed ancient prayers and hacked through terrified men. The battlefield became a vision of hell, thousands fleeing from 800 berserkers who fought as if death were victory. Desperate, Abu Nazar sent his elite guard, minus 2,000 of his best, straight for Magnus. The Viking king towered above them, wielding a double-bladed axe, said to be blessed by the Pope. When he and Abu Nazar finally clashed, it was faith against skill. The duel lasted minutes. Magnus' axe struck true, and with the emir's death, his army broke. 40,000 men turned into a stampede. They trampled their own ranks trying to escape the northern demons. Magnus gave a single order: no survivors. For 3 days, the Vikings hunted the fleeing enemy across the desert. By the end, over 35,000 Saracens lay dead. Only 230 Vikings had fallen. The massacre sent shockwaves through the Middle East. Cities trembled at the rumor of 800 holy killers. When the tale reached Europe, it became legend proof that God favored Christian arms. Chroniclers called Magnus' victory a miracle. Some claimed angels fought beside him. Years later, when Pope Urban II called for the First Crusade, stories of Magnus Barefoot's fanatics helped ignite all of Europe. His brutal campaign became the model for holy war: elite, faith-driven warriors who believed death was salvation. But the legacy was darker than glory. The massacre of Jerusalem justified centuries of brutality in God's name. The techniques, terror, fire, ritual execution, were copied by crusaders again and again. Magnus died in 1069, cut down near Antioch, but his legend outlived him. 2 Christians, he was a saint of the sword. 2 Muslims, a northern demon. 2 history, a warning. Because the massacre proved something timeless: numbers don't win wars, belief does. 800 men triumphed not through strength or strategy alone, but through absolute conviction. They believed they were chosen by God, and that belief turned them into something unstoppable. The story of Magnus Barefoot isn't just about blood and sand. It's about what happens when faith becomes fuel, when conviction outweighs fear. It shows the best and worst of humanity: courage, loyalty, and purpose twisted into fanaticism and destruction. In the end, 800 Vikings changed the fate of thousands and reshaped the meaning of holy war forever. Their legend reminds us that the limits of human power are not in muscle or steel, but in the mind. Faith can move mountains. That day, it moved an army.